Hi, I'm Megan. Today I'm going to be talking about the differences between the Vampire Assistant movie and the books. I think the movie is based on the first three books, maybe. Um, so obviously there's gonna be spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie or read the books, then you're gonna be getting spoilers. I would advise reading the books before like watching this video, because the books are great. I also really enjoyed the movie, but I can understand why people may not enjoy the movie because, like, after reading the books, I have realized how different it is. So I'm going to talk about the similarities first. So spoilers ahead. So I would say, like, I mean, one of the similar things is that, like Darren went to the circus with Steve, which is what happened in the book. Also the way that Darren became a vampire, like the way Mr. Crepsley uh swapped his blood, like he made like what would you call 'em? Scratches in his fingers, um, and then like put his hands on Darren's to like exchange blood. So that was like the same in the book and the movie, pretty much. Also in the book, he like nearly bit his sister, and they also showed that in the movie. So that's another similarity. Um, Also in the movie, the way they faked his death was the exact same as the book, like throwing him off the roof of his house. That was the same. Also, like Darren joining the circus, he joined the circus in the movie and the book, so that was also the same. So there were quite a few similarities, but now I think there were like a lot of differences. Um, like in the books, Darren plays football and soccer in America, and like they didn't show that at all in the movie. Um, Also, like the way that he got the ticket was completely different to how he got it in the movie. Like in the movie, they just like bought the ticket from the little person, whereas in the book, I think it was one of the friends like found out about it. I think he was called Alan, maybe. Um, and basically because there were like four of the friends, because there were Steve, Alan, another guy who I can't remember his name, and there was Darren, right? So they had two tickets. That was all they were allowed to buy. And like because they were trying to decide who was going to go, to make it fair, they like did it where they threw the tickets up in the air. Well, I think Steve was going to go because he had bought the ticket, so he was like automatically going. So it was just the one last ticket that they needed to decide. So they threw the tickets up in the air, and Darren ended up catching it. Like whereas they didn't show any of that in the movie. Um, Also, like the acts within the circus, like in the movie, they had different genders. Like there were a few more that were like women instead of men, which I didn't mind that. But that was just like another difference. Another one thing that they changed, like when in the movie, the Wolfman bit off this woman's hand, and like she had been I can't remember the name of the character right now, but it was like the one who can grow back their limbs. Whereas in the book it was a man, and he was only shown I think in the second book. And like in the book it had been like this proper woman, like this audience member, and her hand got bit off because she screamed. So it was like a lot more scary in the book than the movie. And like the little people had to like stitch it back on. And it like worked again, but yeah, that was like weird. Um, Let me see what else have I written down. So I have it written down, so if I'm looking away, it's because I'm like looking at what I've written down. Let me see. Oh yes, so in the movie, when Darren was like staying behind um to see what Steve was up to, uh, and to get Madame Octa, he like Gavner was there in the movie, whereas in the books it was just Mr. Crepsey, and I'm pretty sure Darren had like been up on like this balcony looking down instead of like in the closet thing. Um, so that was different. I mean, didn't really make much of a difference to be honest. As well as that, the way Darren stole the spider, that was really different in the book because in the movie he just like took it when he was like leaving the circus. No, not a circus. It was like a theater, I think. Um, and then whereas in the book he like went back the next day to take the spider. Also in the book he like played the flute to the spider to like make it do what he wanted it to. Oh my, actually, that's another thing. See, in the book, they got the spider, Madame Octa, to go on Mr. Crepsley's mouth and like spin a web, and that was not in the movie, and I think it would have been a really cool thing to show. Um, so yeah, he took the spider and was like playing the flute to it, and in the movie, Steve, like when the spider got out at school, he was like whacking at it, whereas in the books it was like really different. Like they had the Madame Octa at Darren's house, and Steve went to Darren's house, and uh, Darren wanted to show Steve, like, well, basically, Steve found out that Darren had Madame Octa, so he was going to show, like, Steve the tricks, and he was going to get the Madame Octa to spin a web around Steve's mouth, and it was all going well. Everything was fine, he had control of Madame Octa, but then the sister Annie, I think that's what she was called, she walked in, and that, like, completely disrupted Darren, and that was when Madame Octa bit Steve. So that was like quite different. Annie was also in the books a lot more than the movie. Like, she barely even had any scenes in the movie. The only one I can really remember was when Darren like tried to bite her. That's like the only notable bit that she's in the movie, really. Whereas in the book she was like in it a lot more, and she didn't approve of Darren stealing the spider and all that. Um, Let me see, what else do we have here? Oh, the parents, they were a lot more like grumpy in the movie, I thought. They were like shouting at Darren, and that never happened in the books. And also, they didn't care that he was like friends with Steve. They didn't disapprove the way, because like in the movie, Steve talked about secret best friends and all that. That was not in the book at all. Um, let's see what else. Oh, right. So I mentioned earlier about Darren playing football. So there was this really great scene. So in the books, not in the movie. Um, the friend Alan, I think it was, he like fell and cut his knee, and this is when Darren was a half vampire, and he this is so funny, right? He went and sucked to Alan's knee, like the blood from Alan's knee. It was so funny. I could not believe that was in the book. I found that really funny, and then that was like why he went to Mr. Crepsley to like get help, basically, so he could like control his urges, like to drink blood and all that. Oh, this was another bit. So in the movie they basically show Darren just dying, getting buried pretty much, whereas in the books they had it where he like was in his house with like, I think it was a sheet over him, and it was so sad, to be honest. Like, the family were like really sad that he was dead, and he had to like listen to them talking about him. Oh my. And also there was this like quite creepy bit in the book. Steve basically visited him in the night and checked his like fingers, because he obviously knew that you have the wee slit things in your fingers when you become a vampire. And that was, I don't think that was in the movie. And that was like quite creepy. Like, Darren didn't know that it was Steve at the time, so that made it even like worse for him. I mean, I kind of guessed it. Um, Let me see, what else have I written down here. Okay, so like moving on to the second book, which is when Darren is with the circus. Um, it was like completely different to the movie. I think about maybe like an hour or so into the movie, it started to like really change, because um in the movie they basically had like Vampanese attack the like the place where they were camping. Um Whereas in the book, it like that was not in it at all. I don't even think Mr. Tiny was in the second book, or maybe he's in like one scene. Um and like, also the way that like Dara met Evra was different as well. Like, he went into the tent, and the Evra's snake like climbed up him, and he was like frozen the whole night, which is like kind of funny. But like, I can understand, because it would be a bit scary if you had a snake on you. You wouldn't want it like biting you or anything. So in the second book there were these two characters, Sam and RV. Sam like lived nearby and he really wanted to join the circus, and I thought he was like a great character. I really liked him. And RV was like an eco activist sort of person. And so what happened in the book was they were like brought to the circus like for the performance, and RV was not happy at all because like they had Madam Ock to kill a goat, and he like didn't like that the Wolfman was like in a cage and all that, and yeah, he did not like that at all, and he thought that the freaks were being taken advantage of. So there was a whole like massive thing with him, and he basically like went to the circus at night, let the Wolfman out, and yeah, it was horrible because the Wolfman attacked. Well, the Wolfman actually bit off RV's arms, which was like quite disturbing. Um, and then it was like running after wee Sam, who was like a cute little innocent boy. Like one of my favorite characters. There are like so many characters in the book that I love, who weren't in the movie at all, which is like such a shame. And so Darren like ran after Sam to like save him. Unfortunately, Sam was killed by the Wolfman, and yeah, that was like really sad. Oh, also, oh, sorry. Here's like another really interesting thing that I completely left in out in the movie. So when you like, well, when the vampires like drink the blood of a human, if they like fully kill them, then they like get the memories of that person. They completely left that out. I'm pretty sure, out they left that out in the movie, and so because Sam was like dying anyway, um, Darren like drank his blood. That wasn't in the movie. Also they had like Rebecca, who was his girlfriend. They had her in the movie. She wasn't in the books. There was a different girlfriend called Debbie. She was in the third book, I think. Yeah, so we'll move on to the third book now. Like the third book was really different to the movies as well. Basically, I think it was Gavner told Mr. Crepsley about like these killings going on for in Mr. Crepsley's hometown. Um so I went there, Darren, Everett, and Mr. Crepsley, obviously. Why am I saying that? Pretty obvious. Anyway. And they went there and basically Mr. Crepsley was like sleeping the whole time. Uh and like going out at night. So Darren and Everett didn't see him much. So Darren was like dating this girl called Debbie. He like met her when he was out. And also they thought that Mr. Crepsley was going to kill this guy because they found out that he'd been like stalking this guy, and so they ended up following him for a lot of the book. And um so like that wasn't in the movie at all. Like literally none of that. And then like they actually found out that it was the Vampanese um who Mr. Crepsey had like been trying to protect this guy so that the Vampanese guy would not be able to kill him. Um and that Vampanese guy was Murloc. I think that's how you pronounce that, I'm not really sure. Or Murloc, I don't know. Basically he was in the movie. So I suppose that's like a similar. He was like basically the same character as he is in the books. Um. So yeah, same character, evil, and like pretty creepy. And so essentially, he kidnapped Evra, because he wanted Darren to give him Mr. Crepsley, but Darren refused. Which I mean, honestly, I would have given him Mr. Crepsley, right? But alright, listen to me, right? I would have told Mr. Crepsley that Murloc was coming for him, and then they could have killed Murloc together. But Darren didn't think of that, obviously, and he just, didn't rat out Mr. Crepsley, and just basically, yeah, he then went down to the sewers looking for Evra, and he left Mr. Crepsley and ended up getting captured. They were both hanging upside down. So I suppose that is a little bit like the movie where the family were like caught and like up on the chains. Um but you know, not too similar, just a little bit. Um, and then basically, Mr. Crepsley had to like kind of, well, no, Mr. Crepsley didn't save Darren, but he kind of did. I'll get onto that. So Darren essentially like charmed. Well, I don't know if charmed is the right way, but to say it, but he basically talked his way out of getting killed by Murloc. He told Murloc to let Ever go, and he would give him um Debbie, the girlfriend, because he had Murloc had like kind of stalked Debbie a little bit, seen Darren with her, and wanted to drink her blood, kill her obviously. So they like quickly left, and thankfully Darren had the sense to like plan this whole thing. So they'd had a fake argument in the tunnels, and they like knocked out. Well, they had already like Darren had dinner with Debbie and her family, so he had like knocked out them with like some potion or something, and in her bed, I think it was either a pig or a goat with her like blood, and then Mr. Crabtree like jumped out of the wardrobe and attacked Murloc and killed him, and then they went back and got Evra. Um, so that was like not in the movie at all. Um, I'm trying to see. Have I got any other differences written down here? Let me just see. I don't think so. Oh no, actually, yeah, no. Here's another difference. So in the movie, like at the end when the family had been kidnapped, Steve was like there and he had turned into like a Vampanese, whereas he hasn't been in the books. Like I'm on book number 6 now, and he hasn't appeared again. Like he was only in that first book. Um, so I don't know whether he will return again or not. If he does, great. You know, he's an interesting character, I suppose. If not, be a bit disappointing because like, you know, he was in the movie, and I'm interested to see if he'll like be in the book, you know, and if he'll like be a Vampanese or like still a normal human, I don't know. But no, so he was only in the first book, not in any of the others. Whereas in the movie, he had like a bigger part, in my opinion. Um, yeah, I think that's all I have written down. Those are the differences that I came up with. If you have any more, you can like mention them in the comments. Um, yeah, and I love the books. I love the movie, but I can understand why others don't. I suppose it helps that I like watched the movie first, so the books were like, you know, extra added bits, which I thought was great. I love both. Definitely recommend the books, but if you haven't read the books, you should probably watch the movie first, so you're not like disappointed with the movie. And then read the books, because in my opinion, the books are better. They have like more detail in them, and they are different, so it's like interesting because the second book, most of that is very different to the movie, and the third book is like completely different to the movie. The only one that's like similar at all is the first book, which I would say is pretty close to the movie. But yeah, I think they're both great, and you should definitely watch the movie and read the books. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe if you did. Yeah, bye bye.